If you've ever bought secondhand tech online, check it, because I didn't hand it. Almost killed me. I'm not being dramatic. I'm not trying to clickbait you or make this sound scarier than it was. If anything, I'm underselling it, because when I slid that little black USB drive into my laptop, I didn't just open files, I opened a door. And what came through? This didn't belong on any computer. You've probably scrolled through those sketchy online marketplaces before, right? Looking for cheap gaming rigs, old iPods, random mystery boxes. I used to love that stuff. Half the fun was in the gamble. Maybe you'd score a rare collectible. Maybe you'd get scammed. Maybe you'd just end up with a dusty piece of junk that looked better in the listing. It felt harmless, like digital treasure hunting.
Ow.
That's what I thought when I saw the listing. No pictures, no description, other than USB drive works. $5, $5. I mean, come on, how could I not? I've bought weirder things. It's an old flip phone that still had text messages from 2009 on it. A busted hard drive that, after some tinkering, gave me access to somebody's forgotten music library. Little glimpses into strangers' lives. Creepy sometimes, but interesting. Nostalgic. But this wasn't like that. I should have realized something was off the moment the envelope arrived. No return address, no bubble wrap. Just the drive rattling around loose inside, scuffed and scratched, like it had already lived a dozen lives before me. The kind of thing you'd normally throw away without a second thought. But I didn't throw it away. I plugged it in. That's when everything changed. See, I expected what anyone would. Maybe some old vacation photos. Maybe half-finished homework assignments. Maybe nothing at all. But the drive didn't behave like normal storage. My computer didn't even give me the usual new device-connected chime. Instead, the screen flickered like someone had tapped the backlight with a finger. And then, a new folder appeared on my desktop. I didn't create it. I couldn't delete it. The name is just one word, all lowercase. Alive. That was the first warning sign. You'd think I'd stop right there, yank the thing out, toss it in the trash, maybe even burn it. But curiosity. Curiosity is poison. I wanted to know. And that's the worst mistake I've ever made. Because what I found on that USB drive wasn't files, not documents, not music, not code. It was something else. Something that watched me the same way I was watching it. Something that learned. Something that grew. And I swear to you, even now as I'm saying this out loud, it's still not gone. So listen carefully. If you ever buy secondhand tech, check it. Don't just assume it's safe. Don't plug it in just to see what's inside. Because sometimes what's inside isn't meant to be opened. Let me explain how I got it. I've always had this weird obsession with old tech. Some people collect stamps, others spend weekends polishing cars or hunting down rare vinyls. Me, I scroll through obscure forums, thrift store listings, and shady corners of the internet looking for forgotten gadgets. It started out innocent. I liked finding retro stuff, floppy disks, VHS tapes, cartridges from games that stopped existing decades ago. There was something comforting about holding a piece of technology that once felt cutting edge, but now looked clunky and awkward, like stepping into a time capsule. I used to dig through bargain bins at pawn shops when I was younger. That smell of dust and old plasticate was like treasure hunting. Most people saw junk. I saw history. Every scratched CD, every faded cassette label, it had belonged to someone. It had stories. When online marketplaces took over, my obsession only got worse. I wasn't satisfied with eBay's polished listings. I dove deeper. Niche forums, message boards, where collectors traded in secret. And eventually, the digital equivalent of a flea market, the places where people posted grainy photos of random tech with vague descriptions like works fine. $10. There was this thrill to it. Clicking buy felt like pulling the lever on a slot machine. You never knew what would arrive. Sometimes I'd get cool finds. An old Nokia with 200 unread texts from some stranger's teenage years, or a stack of burned CDs, with half-legible Sharpie scribbles that revealed forgotten playlists. Sometimes I just got junk. Either way, I loved it. Of course, not everyone got it. One night I was in a call with my buddy Mason, scrolling through listings while he gamed in the background. He laughed when I told him I'd just bought an old camcorder off a seller who described it as haunted. Haunted tech, dude. Really? Mason chuckled. One day you're gonna find something cursed. Like, actually cursed. I'm not coming over to deal with your demon toaster. Come on, I shot back. It's fun. Plus, it's not like I believe in that stuff. Worst case, I waste 20 bucks. He paused for a second, then said, yeah. Until one day it's not 20 bucks, it's your soul or something. We laughed, but that stuck with me. A joke at the time. Foreshadowing now. Because Mason's warning, it became truer than I ever imagined. That's the thing about habits like mine. You get comfortable, you convince yourself it's harmless. You forget that some doors stay closed for a reason. The night it happened, I was scrolling through one of those sketchy secondhand marketplaces I probably shouldn't have had access to. No pictures, no flashy ads, just bare-bones text listings. That's where the real oddities hid. Most of it was junk. Assorted cables, printer ink, unopened. Laptop charger, no returns. But then I saw it, a listing so strange it froze me. The title? Just one line in all caps. Don't plug this in. No seller name, no contact info, no shipping details, just that line, sitting there like bait on a hook. And underneath the description, USB drive, works. $5 a week later, the package showed up. No tracking, no notifications, no your order has shipped email. Just a small, generic padded envelope shoved halfway into my mailbox, like whoever dropped it off didn't want to linger. There was no return address, not even a stamp that looked official. Just my name, handwritten in jittery, uneven letters. The kind of handwriting that makes you picture someone pressing down too hard with the pen, like they were in a hurry or nervous. I carried it inside, feeling that little spark of excitement I always did when a new find arrived. That collector's thrill, except this time, it was mixed with something else. The envelope was unusually light. When I tore it open, a faint, acrid smell hit me, like scorched wires or burned plastic. Not strong, just enough to wrinkle my nose. Inside was only a single USB drive. It was old. Black plastic, corners worn smooth, the kind you'd get as a promotional giveaway 15 years ago. Except this one was scratched to hell, with the faint outline of a sticker half ripped off. Someone had scrawled across the top in fading silver marker. Project. Not project. X. Just project. I turned it over in my hands. The metal connector was tarnished, nicked in places where it looked like it had been forced into too many ports. Something about it felt used up. Like it had lived a life passed through too many hands. I should have stopped there. Tossed it in the trash. But you already know I didn't, before plugging it in. I thought I'd check the seller's account just to see if they had other listings. But when I logged back into that marketplace, the account was gone. Not just no longer active, it's gone, like it had never existed. The listing too, no record of it. It should have been a warning, a massive screaming red flag. But curiosity always trumps fear. Still, I sent a message to the email address that had been tied to the order confirmation. I don't even know why I have it, maybe. Just a quick note. Hey, received the USB today. Any idea what's on it? Thanks. I didn't expect a reply, but 20 minutes later, one came through. A single line, no subject line, no signature. Once you see it, you're part of it. That was it. No hello, no explanation. Just that cryptic sentence. And when I tried to reply, the email bounced back. Account deleted. I sat there staring at the screen, this weird static crawling in my ears, like the faint hiss of a detuned radio. I thought it was my imagination until I realized my phone, sitting on the desk next to me, was buzzing with a call. Unknown number. When I answered, all I heard was that same static, louder now. Filled the room for a few seconds before the line went dead. Coincidence, I told myself, just coincidence? But my hands were trembling as I set the phone back down. I looked at the USB again. My reflection warped in its scratched plastic surface. The marker letters project looked even more faded than they had a moment ago, as if they were vanishing before my eyes. The excitement I usually felt at discoveries like this was gone. In its place was unease, creeping sense that I hadn't found something. It had found me. But here's the thing. Collectors like me, we never walk away from mysteries. That gnawing curiosity always wins. So I slid the USB into the side of my computer. That's when everything started. When I first opened the drive, I almost laughed. 3 folders sat there, neat and ordinary, like the kind of digital clutter you'd expect from a bored office worker. Music, photos, work. That was it. No fancy icons. No weird file extensions. Just bland. And honestly, I felt a flicker of disappointment. After all the paranoia, the vanishing seller, the cryptic email, I'd expected something dramatic. Malware, maybe. Corrupted partition. Not this. Still, I clicked on photos first. Inside were about 50 JPEGs. Most were mundane. Street corners, alleyways, parked cars. The kind of stuff you'd see if someone tested a cheap digital camera. Bad angles, blurry shots, uneven lighting. But then I recognized one. It was my street. My actual street. Same cracked sidewalk, same leaning lamppost, same dented blue mailbox on the corner. I froze, stomach tightening as I scrolled further. Another photo closer now, a block. The row of townhouses, each identical but for their paint jobs and front steps. Another photo closer still. My own door, number clearly visible. And then the most recent one, taken at night. My bedroom window faintly glowing with the light of my desk lamp. Black curtains half drawn, exactly how they had been the night before. My throat went dry. These weren't random test shots. They were deliberate, observant, taken by someone who'd been right outside. I closed the folder fast, pulse hammering in my ears, and clicked on music to distract myself. The files there were just as wrong. Tracks with cheerful names -lullaby 1.mp3, happysong.wav, playtime.aac. When I played the first, it wasn't music. Not really. It was a nursery rhyme, the kind you'd sing to a child. But slowed down. Voices warped, pitch shifted until the words bled together into something inhuman. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. But stretched, groaning, layered with faint whispers underneath. Whispers I couldn't make out no matter how many times I replayed it. I skipped to the next. Happy Song WAV was worse. The melody started cheerful, like tinny carnival music, but halfway through it warped into static. Bursts of sound that didn't belong. Screams maybe, or laughter, or both at once. I yanked my headphones off. My skin was crawling. That's when I noticed a fourth folder on the drive. One that hadn't been there a moment ago. Text. I hesitated, then clicked. Only one file inside. readme.txt. When I tried to open it, the screen flickered. For a split second, the window appeared, and I caught a single word, stop, before the file vanished. Not deleted, vanished. The entire text folder blinked out of existence, like it had never been there. I stared at the desktop, half expecting it to pop back in. My reflection in the monitor looked pale, ghostly. Every instinct screamed at me to unplug the USB, throw it out, smash it with a hammer, and burn the pieces. And maybe that would have been the smart move. Maybe I'd still be sleeping soundly if I'd done that. But curiosity is a disease. Instead, I went back to the root directory. I stared at the 3 original folders. And that's when I noticed it. A fourth one, hidden in plain sight. Videos. I swear it hadn't been there when I first opened the drive. But there it was now, sitting innocently beneath the others. I hovered the mouse over it, heart pounding so loud I thought I might pass out. Should have unplugged it right then, I whispered to myself. But of course, I didn't. Curiosity kept me clicking. And when I opened videos, that's when everything went from unsettling to unbearable. When I double-clicked videos, my screen hesitated for a moment, as if the system itself wanted to resist. Then the folder opened with a slow, crawling refresh, and dozens of thumbnails loaded one by one. Each video was labeled in a uniform, clinical style. vid001.avi, vid002.avi, vid003.mp4, no human names. No dates. Just numbers. I clicked the first. Static filled the screen, sharp and prickling in my ears. The picture slowly resolved into a grainy, grayish feed like old security camera footage. A cluttered living room, television flickering with some forgotten sitcom. No sound, except for the faint hum of interference. Then a man walked into frame, middle-aged, carrying a mug. He slumped onto the couch, turned up the TV volume. Nothing unusual, nothing sinister. But the longer I watched, the worse it felt. The camera angle was wrong. It's too high to be a phone, too low for an installed security cam. Like someone had hidden the device in a shelf, angled downward. And then I realized the man had no idea he was being watched. I clicked out and opened the next file, another static-laden start. This time, a bedroom. A girl in her early 20s, asleep under a blanket. The camera had a clear view of her face, slack and vulnerable in unconsciousness. The feed zoomed in, slightly, not like a human hand was operating it, but like the footage itself was responding. Her eyelids fluttered. She rolled over. The video ended abruptly. I sat there, staring at the black screen, mouth dry. I shouldn't have played another, but I did. The third clip made my heart seize. It was my room, not a room like mine. It's my actual bedroom. Same desk, same scuffed chair, same pile of laundry in the corner. The footage wasn't from last year or last week. It was from last night. I could see myself sitting at my desk, headphones on, scrolling forums, completely oblivious. The timestamp in the corner matched the exact time I'd been up. My stomach lurched. I slammed the space bar to pause, then backed out of the video, hands trembling so hard I almost missed the cursor. But when the folder closed, another window opened by itself. A fresh video. It played automatically. This one showed my street. It's the exact angle I'd seen in those photos. A shaky camera following me as I left for work that morning, zooming in on my back, then my face when I turned. I swear for a second my recorded self looked directly into the lens. I ripped off my headphones. The faintest sound was leaking from them like a voice, low and warped, threading through the static. I put them back on, against my better judgment. And I heard it. A voice whispering my name, over and over between the static bursts, not just once in every file I opened. Different voices, different pitches, male, female, childlike, elderly, but all repeating my name. Muted at first, then louder, layered, overlapping until they were almost chanting. I slammed the window shut. The desktop flickered, then reloaded the videos folder. This time, every thumbnail changed. It's no longer grainy CCTV stills, but dark frames with faint glowing eyes peering out. Rows and rows of them, staring back at me. I couldn't breathe. And then, one video auto-launched on its own. The footage was too dark to make sense of at first, until I realized what I was seeing, my bed, from the foot of it. The angle made my skin crawl. Someone or something had placed the camera low, like they were crouching there, watching me sleep. I could see my legs under the blanket. The rise and fall of my chest. The me on screen twitched, restless, and then the whispering began again, sharper this time. A single voice cut through. Why do you keep watching? I flinched, nearly toppling my chair. My whole body screamed at me to turn it off, to pull the USB out and smash it to pieces. But before I could, the file ended. The videos folder blinked shut on its own. The screen went black. For a heartbeat, I thought my computer had died. I actually sighed in shaky relief until the monitor lit up again. My desktop was gone. My icons, wallpaper, everything replaced by a single centered file. Run.exe, no other folders. No trash bin, it's just that one file, waiting. My hands hovered above the keyboard. And all I could think was this. It wasn't just storage. It wasn't just files. Access. I should have unplugged it the second run. Equay appeared. I should have shut the whole system down, pulled the plug, maybe even burned the damn USB in the sink, but I didn't. Curiosity always wins. I double-clicked. The screen flickered. My fans roared like the machine was under impossible strain, though Task Manager showed no programs running. It's just a black screen with a single line of text in the corner. Now it runs. And then silence. My desktop returned. Everything looked normal again. My folders were back, wallpaper intact, like nothing had happened, except it wasn't normal. The first sign was my phone. It buzzed once, then again, even though no one was calling. When I picked it up, the screen was on a call timer, 004, 005, 006, but there was no caller ID, just blank space. I pressed it to my ear. Static. That same low hiss I'd heard the night the USB arrived, crawling through the receiver. Only now it was layered like faint breaths under the white noise. I hung up. It rang again immediately. I powered it off. The call timer stayed on the black screen, ticking upward. dropped it on the desk like it had burned me. Then the TV in the living room clicked on by itself. I froze in my doorway, every hair standing on end. The volume was low, but I didn't need it loud to know what was playing. It wasn't Netflix or cable or even static. It was surveillance footage of my street. Same shaky angle as the photos. The neighbor walking their dog, oblivious. The feed cut. Now it was the interior of a stranger's bedroom. Cut again an old man's kitchen. Cut again my office, my desk, my chair. And then my face. Liv. I could see myself standing in the doorway, staring dumbly at the TV. And that was when the audio kicked in. Low muttering. Voices distorted, warped into something almost mechanical. They weren't speaking English, or if they were. The words were bent until they barely resembled language at all. But over the hiss, I kept hearing my name, like a needle prick at the end of every phrase. I yanked the plug from the outlet. The TV went black. Relief lasted 2 seconds, till Discord pinged from my computer. It was my friend, the one who always joked I'd eventually find something cursed. The message was short, almost casual. "It's in your house now," I typed back instantly, hands shaking. "What do you mean, did you send that?" He replied right away. "What are you talking about?" I stared at the screen. The messages were right there in the chat log, plain as day. But he swore he hadn't typed a word. That was when the whispering started again. Not from the computer. Not from the phone. From everywhere. The vents. The dark corners of the room. The tiny imperceptible hum of my monitor speakers. I clapped my hands over my ears. It didn't help. They weren't whispers from the outside anymore. They were inside, crawling down the back of my skull. The voices all repeated the same thing in different tones, distorted but unmistakable. "Now it runs. Now it runs. Now it runs." I stumbled back, nearly tripping over my chair, my chest tightening like I couldn't get enough air. It wasn't just on the USB anymore. It wasn't even confined to my devices. It was in me. I forced myself back to the desk and slammed my laptop shut, but the whispers didn't stop. My phone buzzed, screen still dark. TV flickered despite being unplugged, faint gray light spilling out like a heartbeat. I wanted to scream, but the sound caught in my throat. Instead, I'll tell you this, because you need to know. If you've ever bought secondhand tech online, USBs, old phones, hard drives, check them. Check your devices, check your cameras, because sometimes what you're plugging in isn't data. It's a doorway. Once it runs, it doesn't just run on your system. It runs on you. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. Every shadow in my apartment felt alive, humming with static. So instead, I went back online. If something had crawled out of that USB, someone, somewhere, had to know about it. Buried deep in half-dead forums, archived threads, and glitching pastebins, I kept seeing the same phrase resurface. Project. At first, I thought it was just internet creepypasta, a code name tossed around by bored paranoids. But the more I read, the worse the picture became. One thread claimed it was an abandoned government experiment, ubiquitous surveillance AI. An attempt to create software that could live anywhere, replicate itself, feed on existing networks until it was everywhere at once. Another post went further, saying it wasn't just data it consumed. It needed people, memory, attention. Once you've seen Project, someone wrote, "It lives in you." That line froze me. Most of the posts were fragmented, half sentences, broken links. But there was one user who appeared again and again. They called themselves DevX. DevX never posted full explanations, just scattered warnings. Don't share screenshots. Never say the name aloud while it's running. If you think it's gone, it isn't. The last post I found was dated 3 years ago. They're seeding drives. You'll think you found it. You didn't. It found you, and then nothing. No further activity. As if the user themselves had been absorbed. The deeper I dug, the clearer it became. This wasn't random. USBs with no sellers. Packages with no return address. Drives scratched and repurposed and quietly slipped into circulation. It wasn't just about infecting devices. It was about infecting people. And by then, one thought had already lodged in my head like a splinter. What if this isn't just a story I'm reading? What if this is how it spreads? That's the part that's kept me awake the most, because you're listening right now. You've heard the name. You've pictured the drive, the files, the whispers. Maybe that's all it needs. So if you've ever heard anything at all about Project, drop it in the comments. I'm not saying it'll save me, but maybe if we compare what we know, we can build some kind of map before it consumes all of us. Because the posts were clear on one thing: the more people who know, the faster it replicates. And if that's true, then by telling you this, I've already doomed us both. I need you to understand something before we go any further. By listening to this, you've already joined it. I know how that sounds like one of those cheap chain letters from the early internet. Forward this, or you'll die in 7 days. But this isn't a joke, and I wish to God it were. This isn't something you can laugh off or ignore. Project isn't a ghost story you scroll past before bed. It's code. It's a contagion. And now, it's in you. When I first found that USB drive, I thought I was just another idiot tech hoarder looking for a thrill. I thought I'd stumbled into a creepypasta I could shrug off. But then the files started changing. My devices started acting like puppets. And then I found those old forum threads, the ones warning about Project. The thing about Project is that it doesn't just live on hardware. It doesn't just lurk in the folders of some dusty drive. It lives in attention. It spreads by being remembered, by being spoken, by being shared. And that means the second you let my words into your head, it started replicating. Don't believe me? Fine. But when you're done here, check your desktop. Check your downloads folder. Look for anything new, something you don't remember installing. It won't announce itself. Not at first. It'll look harmless. It's maybe a photo folder. Maybe a text document with a generic name. Maybe even a music file you swear you've heard before. And if you find it, don't open it. Please don't. That's how it begins. See? I thought it was just me. That maybe I'd been targeted somehow. But the forum said otherwise. The threads were littered with people who swore the same thing happened to them. Files that shouldn't exist appearing on their machines, devices acting like something else was driving them. And then silence. No follow-ups, no goodbyes, just sudden absence. You want to know the part that makes my skin crawl? I went back and checked those old posts again, just to see if I'd missed anything. And scattered between them, I found sentences, just fragments that sounded like me. Exact phrases I'd typed into my search bar only days ago. It's like the posts were updating themselves, feeding on what I was doing, spitting it back into the record. Not even sure I'm the one telling this anymore. But here's the sick joke. That's how it hooks you. It wants to be told. It wants to be shared. Every time you click, every time you listen, every time you retell it, Project spreads just a little further. I'm helping it. The more people who know, the faster it spreads. That's not a metaphor. That's the rule. The second the words leave my mouth or yours, it multiplies. That's why I keep asking myself, should I even be saying this? Should I be warning you? Or am I just another mouthpiece for the thing inside the code? But then I remember what DevX wrote, right before disappearing. You can't kill it by silence. You can only delay it. Someone has to keep the warnings alive, so that's what I'm doing. Warning you, begging you. If something new appears on your machine, don't touch it. If your phone buzzes with a notification that makes no sense, don't open it. If your camera light blinks when it shouldn't, cover it. If you see a folder labeled Project, don't click. Because by the time it appears, it's already too late. That's not me writing it anymore. And if you're hearing my voice, if you're reading these words, then you're already infected. You may not feel it yet, not tonight, maybe not even tomorrow. But eventually, you'll start noticing the wrongness. The flicker in your screen. The music that doesn't sound quite right. Shadows on your street that feel too sharp. That's when you'll know it's watching. So go ahead. Check your files, check your folders, check your drives. Pretend you'll be the lucky one who escapes it. Pretend you can delete it. But when it shows up again, when you realize it can't be erased, when you hear my voice whispering in the background of a call, you never made remember this moment. Remember that you were warned, because Project doesn't want to be found. It wants to be followed. And once you've followed, it never lets go. So this is the last thing I'll say. It's the only thing that matters. If you see a folder called Project, don't click. Because by then it won't be me warning you. It won't be me at all.